You're here to watch me roast Linus again, aren't you? To hear me talk about just how wrong everything he did with ASIC miners was, and why I'm the best YouTuber on the face of the planet, and why hashtag Papa Linus needs to watch his back because I'm coming for him. Well, unfortunately, Papa Linus is the best in the game, and there ain't no way I'm replacing him. And the ASIC mining video that he did was perfectly fine. So today's video is a different strategy. Instead of spit roasting Papa Linus on the open fire that are my response videos, I'ma add to his video and discuss a few things that weren't overlooked by him, but can be discussed at a bit more length to give everyone a broader context of ASIC mining and why even though specialized mining equipment like ASICs exist, miners are still hobgobbling up all the graphics cards known to man. Everything Linus and team covered in the video on ASICs was fine. Profitability is okay, their comments on ROI are in line, and there's a few things that they just didn't mention that I want to go into more detail on. There was a brief mention of a few other manufacturers of ASICs besides Bitmain, and then there was discussion of the fact that pricing and availability on these ASICs are hilariously in an odd place. The reason for the stock and price issues are pretty simple, but also baffling in a way to some extent. Let me explain. The International Business Times recently released a helpful infographic that shows the average electricity cost to mine a single Bitcoin. Some countries have it super easy on the wallet, like in Venezuela, where it'll cost $531 to mine one Bitcoin, but then other countries, such as Belgium and Germany, put it at $13,000 to $14,000 per Bitcoin. In the US, it comes to about $4,700 for a single Bitcoin, which sounds like a butt ton of money. And it's because it kind of is. Because this is just taking into consideration the average electricity costs. That's right, the price of over $4,500 doesn't include the cost of purchasing the equipment to do the actual mining, which means that for your first Bitcoin that you mine, which is currently priced at just over $10,000, you'll be spending nearly half of that in electricity to get that darn magic money. And then in countries like Germany, it'll be a huge bath of lost turkeys unless the price somehow moons again to nearly the same levels that it was a month or two ago. This is the particular issue that plagues any mining endeavor. The coins have to outweigh the investment that it takes to get them. In some countries, it's completely more worth it than in others, which again is where I'll again say that adding more mining equipment to your setup will not increase your profitability. Your profitability remains the same whether you have one Antminer S9 or 10. The cost of running each ASIC is the same value and therefore makes it so that the expenses per machine are nearly identical. If the expenses are the same and the amount that you bring in are the same, then the profit is the same and it has the same profitability. If you try to mine with 100 S9s in Germany, you're not all of a sudden more profitable than if you have one. In fact, at this current point, you'd be losing more money for each machine you add rather than adding to the total profit of the farm. Total profit does not equal profitability, no matter how many of you continue to argue that in the comments. With that said, I want to take a quick dive into a few more of the ASIC miners that exist out there besides the three that Linus went into. Again, he did a great job of covering them. The S9 and the L3 Plus are pretty profitable right now, even if you have to buy them for a heavy markup off of eBay to actually get started into mining right now. And the D3 is an abysmal train wreck of confusingness that just underperformed because of the massive difficulty spike introduced to Dash and the subsequent price crash of Dash itself. It's a weak ASIC miner that gets easily eclipsed by some of the more versatile X11 miners like the Baikal Giant X10. The Baikal miners, which Papa Linus did give a passing mention to,
including Bitmain, whose hardware we have with us today, Inosilicon, and Baikal,
are the most profitable ASIC miners on the market right now. Side note, I say right now a lot to hopefully allow you to understand that things can change in the blink of an eye and you could actually have the worst performing ASIC on the market just as quickly as you have the best one. So the Baikal Giant X10 is an X11 miner that specializes in mining the currencies Quark and Qubit right now. Given that there aren't that many ASICs directed at these currencies, they have a lower difficulty rate, allowing the Baikal owners to hoover them up faster than me trying to find Linus videos to react to. Currently, you can make a peachy keen profit of $35 per day with the X10, which is significantly higher than the $10 or so per day that an S9 will bring in. However, that higher profit comes with a significantly higher price tag. Obviously, you can pre-order at MSRP to get a shipment in the future for these things, which means that you'll pay the lower than market price, but the difficulty there is, just like with the Antminer D3s, that by the time your batch actually gets shipped out, there's a risky chance that either the coin has farted out the floor or the difficulty has moon bounced the ceiling. Either change, or in the worst possible case, both happening at the same time, would create a situation where the miner that you ordered wouldn't be worth its value in cash dollar return. Anyway, so back to if you want to buy now. The going price that I could find from the average out asking price on eBay was a cool $7,500. That's a mega wop ton of dead presidents to drop on a specialized computer. But if you extrapolate the current profitability be out until forever, you'll pay that investment off in 213 days after electric costs. So within 1 year of purchasing, you'll come to a return of $5,000 plus per Baikal X10 you ordered. Obviously, that can change depending on how much you spend up front for the X10. If you get it for cheaper, you'll be in a great clearing to earn a lot more cash. And again, current profitability. There's another Baikal out on the market that is a similar moneymaker, but to an even greater extent, but likely not for long. The Giant B mines using the Blake 2B algorithm, which is just starting to see its initial round of dedicated ASICs coming out onto the scene and sending the difficulty rate through the planosphere. However, the Giant B has the advantage of being one of the first ASICs for this algorithm, and it's benefiting greatly from it. With its current money makingness, you'll see a fiat roll-in of $45 per day. But again, high profits means higher initial costs, and the average I can see the Giant B selling for is actually less than the X10, coming in at a cucumbery $6,000. $6,000 divided by $45 means that you'll pay it off in roughly, quick maths, 132 days. Yearly total could come out to roughly $10,000 per Giant B that you pick up, and that's $10,000 of pure profit. There's plenty of other ASICs that are on the market, like the Antminer T9, Avalon 721, Miner E9, and the Antminer R4, which all mine Bitcoin in one fashion or another. Unfortunately, with each of these, they have the issue of being 1, long in the tooth from being out for a while, and then 2, significantly less power efficient than current models like the S9. This means that your ROI on each ASIC would be worse even if the hashing rate is comparable to the S9. Each of these Bitcoiners will take you at least a year to pay off at current profitability and based on the average cost that it is to buy them on eBay. Then there's a couple of ASICs that I want to bring up for their intriguingness. The Spawn Dooley's SP50 is a beast of an ASIC. It has a hash rate of nearly 8 Antminer S9s and brings in an easy profit of $60 plus per day. However, before you go rushing to increase the credit limit on your credit card to find one of these, there's a couple of complications with it. 1, the retail price is a blisteringly high $35,000 per unit, and then 2, there is the issue that Spawn Dooley's has apparently filed for bankruptcy, though there's no chance that we'll have new iterations of this behemoth. And even finding a used one proves to be a tricky task, likely because those that have one are just raking in the sweet crypto rainfall. And then there's also the currently unreleased ASIC miner known as the Dragon Mint 16T. This one is intriguing because it promises to hash 14% better than an S9 and cost a bit less. However, there's a few issues with this one as well because there's rampant speculation that either 1, this ASIC doesn't exist and the company is just taking money for pre-orders and actually won't deliver on them, because if Bitmain isn't selling one this powerful, how could a company do it with their first ASIC launch? Or the second speculated alternative is that the 16T will just be an overclocked S9, complete with all of the pitfalls that is jacking up the frequencies on something that is already wickedly efficient at what it does. It's basically like Kodak rebranding the S9s to be called cash miners. That's neither here nor there. I bring these last two ASICs up as a matter of interest in the Spawn Dooley's sheer power, and also the pleasure of saying the name Spawn Dooley's over and over again. Spawn Dooley's, Spawn Dooley's, Spawn Dooley's. And the second is just a warning that investing in a product and a company that has no proven track record of actually delivering on anything is something to be a little leery of. All right, Brett, you say you've told us that ASICs are ridiculously profitable, so why can't the miners just leave us gamers alone and buy these things and let us have our graphics cards? A person can clearly make thousands of dollars a year off of a single ASIC. That seems to be a great buy. Get their greedy fingers off of our video cards. Okay, I hear you. The raw profit per day makes ASICs super enticing, especially if you get them for retail price, or you get in early, or coins moon like they did a couple months ago. But there's a few complications that make it so that miners will still snatch up the Vegas as well as the S9s. The first is that ASICs are in nearly as short a supply as GPUs. These dedicated pieces of mining goodness are either only available for pre-order to get them months ahead of time, or are going for multiple times their suggested price on the open market. Does that sound like a familiar issue? The honest truth is that when you have machines that are capable of printing money, you can't make enough of them. We were always told that money didn't grow on trees. I just didn't think that it would be growing on silicon instead. So stock issues are rampant, fair market pricing is jacking up the cost to buy, and if miners want to make more money, they simply have to look elsewhere. The second issue is that GPUs are tremendously versatile. With ASICs, you're lucky to get 2 or 3 currencies that you can mine because you're stuck with one algorithm. If you're a miner who's interested in a new hot crypto that's bursting out on the scenes like Bitcoin, Incorrect! Chances are your current arrangements won't allow you to use your horsepower to start digging in the trenches for it. GPUs, however, usually will give you that opportunity. Quickly jumping in and out of smaller coins because you either believe in their white paper or because you think that they'll bring you a quick money shower is a freedom that ASICs won't allow and that GPUs definitely benefit from. Then there's the aspect that I always harp on about because I'm as engaging as a risk taker as Milhouse. With mining being a volatile endeavor, having collateral for risk mitigation can be an important thing for many. ASICs offer you about as much collateral as the aluminum on their heatsinks. Their MESICs-like nature means that if they fulfill their purpose, they become nothing. Graphics cards, however, are a hot commodity for many gamers. A crash crypto market with the GPUs means that you're gonna make a gamer's lucky day when you sell them an RX Vega for $200 because that's what the market pressure is pushing you on, and you've also murdered its lifespan. There's a floor for GPUs that doesn't exist for ASICs because GPUs have external use cases outside of mining. It sucks that this is the case because they're being gobbled up, but it's quite simply an insurance policy against terrible times that may or may not come. Then lastly, the most obvious one is the barrier of entry of the high initial cost. With GPU mining, it's super easy to start out small, to dumpster dive a gateway thin client that's being thrown out of an office and slap a single profitable graphics card into it. And then when, even if you're buying new, you can get into the game for around $200 for a startup system, as I detailed here in the cheapest mining rig possible video. When $200 is what you need before GPU to start getting into crypto, that's a lot more palatable. It allows for many to get in on the ground floor and then build their way up to multiple 6-card rigs scattered all over their garage. It sucks, but even with ASIC miners being incredibly profitable and definitely worth it from a cost to reward perspective, right now GPU mining is also here to stay, and it'll be a long time before we see market normalization. I hope that this provided you with some more info that can help supplement Linus's original video on ASICs. Papa Linus, you've improved admirably since part 1, and I must commend you for that. I'll also take a small pat on my back since I'd like to think that I maybe helped contribute just a little bit. I mean, you did give me a small indirect half-second text mention in part 2, so that means we're besties now, right? I can't wait till you invite me on the WAN show as a special guest and then come down to South Africa to film Scrapyard Wars Africa edition with me. Best friends forever for sure. Hashtag Papa Linus for life. For everyone who isn't Papa Linus though, let me know what you think of ASICs, how many you own, what your predictions for their longevity in the market are, either down in the comments or over on Twitter. I am at UFDisciple. Be sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed our expansion on Linus's mining adventure, instead of criticizing it this time. Get subscribed to stay up to date on all of our tech-related content. And if you're, for some strange reason, outrageous enough to buy ASICs right now, you can use our Amazon affiliate code that's down in the video description to help support us here at the channel without costing you a single cent. Anyways, I'm Brett with the UFD Tech channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Cheers. Hopefully the battery didn't die this time.